Food and fear. These are two words that just don't belong together. The only emotions food should evoke are joy, comfort, nostalgia, and delight. There are times when we crave for restaurant foods. We go out with family and ask the kids what do they want to eat. Now they choose Chinese. So we go out in search of a good Chinese restaurant. So on the main road across the street, we see two Chinese restaurants opposite to each other. Now we have heard good reviews about both. So how do we select which one to visit? The one on the left side of the road has an additional signage outside their entrance which mentions, "We do not use Ajinomoto in our foods." Done. It's clear which restaurant to choose. Of course, the one who don't use this so-called dreaded and dangerous chemical component called Ajinomoto. Today, we try and understand if this fear among the general public about this taste enhancer is actually true and what is the science behind this.
First things first, Ajinomoto is not a taste enhancer or anything as we assume it to be. It is actually a Japanese food and biotechnology corporation which produces seasonings, cooking oils, frozen foods, beverage, sweeteners, amino acids, and pharmaceuticals. Ajinomoto, or the essence of taste, is the trade name for the company's original produce, monosodium glutamate, which is called as MSG, which is what is the taste enhancer and the topic of our discussion today. While MSG has a long track record of being safe, some studies in the public domain have questioned its safety. After the revolutionary information broadcasting network cum encyclopedia called WhatsApp has become part of human life, this fear of MSG has doubled. If you ask someone now from where he or she got this news about MSG being harmful, they would say WhatsApp or Facebook University. These universities have become an epitome center for all fake news, and we blindly believe whatever is being forwarded in it without bothering to check any facts. There is a broad consensus, however, in the scientific community and amongst international regulatory bodies such as WHO that MSG, when consumed in appropriate amounts, is safe for general consumption. These conclusions are based on numerous biochemical, toxicological, and medical studies conducted over 4 decades. But where does our confusion and fear really stop? The answer is simple. Empowering ourselves with enough knowledge about the food, its ingredients, its nutritional value, etc. should help us sieve the truth from the myths.
Before we get into what MSG is scientifically, we need to understand what taste is. Taste is the sensory system of perception produced or stimulated when a substance in the mouth reacts chemically with taste receptor cells which are located in the taste buds in the oral cavity, mostly on the tongue. Taste receptors in the mouth sense 5 taste modalities: sweetness, sourness, saltiness, bitterness, and savoriness. Savoriness, which is also known as savory or umami. The basic sensory function of MSG is attributed to its ability to enhance the savory or umami taste active compounds when added in the proper concentration. MSG is safe to eat. A popular belief is that MSG can cause headaches and other feelings of discomfort, but several double-blinded tests across the world have found no good evidence to support this. International and national bodies governing food additives currently consider MSG safe for human consumption as a flavor enhancer. Here are a few examples of the food governing bodies have said on MSG.
It has been declared safe by the US Food and Drug Administration, called as FDA, in 1958 and included in the GRAS category. Generally recognized as safe, or GRAS, is a United States Food and Drug Administration designation that a chemical or a substance added to food is considered safe by expert. Joint Experts Committee on Food Additives JEC-FA stated acceptable daily intake ADI as not specified. That means there is no specified amount as such of how much MSG one can take. It has been approved safe by American Medical Association in 1992 and approved by the European Union. A 1995 report from the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology FASEB for the United States Food and Drug Administration concluded that MSG is safe when eaten at customary levels. The technical report of Food Standards Australia and New Zealand concludes that there is no convincing evidence that MSG is a significant factor in causing systemic reactions resulting in severe illness or mortality.
Let's now look at the history a bit of how this fear instigated initially and the history of MSG itself. The controversy surrounding the safety of MSG began on 4th April 1968 when Dr. Robert Homan Kwok wrote a letter to the New England Journal of Medicine, coining the term Chinese Restaurant Syndrome. Under this heading, Chinese Restaurant Syndrome, the letter began, "For several years since I have been in this country, I have experienced a strange syndrome whenever I have eaten out in a Chinese restaurant." Now, this letter went on to describe symptoms including numbness in the back of the neck, gradually radiating to both arms and the back, general weakness, and palpitation. In his letter, Kwok suggested several possible causes before he nominated MSG for all his symptoms. This was his anecdotal evidence. We know science doesn't take anecdotal evidences, but this letter and the news of his symptoms spread around the world like fire. Repeated scientific studies and experiments around the world have repeatedly discredited this Chinese restaurant syndrome.
Now let us look at the history of MSG. MSG was first prepared in 1908 by a Japanese biochemist, Kikune Ikeda, who was trying to isolate and duplicate the savory taste of kombu, an edible seaweed used as a base for many Japanese soups. To verify that ionized glutamate was responsible for umami, he studied the taste properties of glutamate salts: calcium, potassium, ammonium, and magnesium glutamate. All these salts elicited umami and a metallic taste due to the other minerals. Of them, sodium glutamate was the most soluble, most palatable, and easiest to crystallize. IKEA called this product monosodium glutamate and submitted a patent to produce MSG. The Suzuki brothers began commercial production of MSG in 1909 as Ajinomoto.
What is MSG or monosodium glutamate? Let us take a closer look at glutamate first. The current sentiment against this humble amino acid is nothing short of hostile, all because of its apparently harmful avatar, monosodium glutamate or MSG. The proteins we eat are broken down into amino acids. Glutamic acid is one such amino acid derived from the proteins. In fact, glutamine is one of the most abundant amino acids in the body. Humans can produce 10 of the 20 amino acids. The others must be supplied through food. So these 10 are considered non-essential amino acids. Glutamic acid is one among these 10 non-essential amino acids, as human body can synthesize this. Sources of glutamic acid also include high protein foods such as meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy products. So this is further proof that glutamate in MSG cannot be a harmful substance.
Since we have dealt with the second part, let us go to the first part of MSG, monosodium, which means one sodium, which is an alkali. Too much sodium in the diet is definitely not good for health, and can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. It can also cause calcium losses. Now for a minute, let us look at another product which we regularly have and has the same sodium. Sodium chloride or common salt. By weight, table salt is approximately 40% sodium and 60% chlorine. About 90% of the sodium we eat is in the form of sodium chloride. Now guess how much sodium is present in MSG? It is just around 12%. This literally means that if you can eat salt, then you can use MSG almost 3 times more than the usual amount of salt you use. We are not saying that you should use this much. As we clarified earlier, the glutamate in MSG is not harmful. Now if sodium is what we fear, then MSG contains 3 times less sodium than a common salt or sodium chloride.
It is the dose that makes the poison is an adage intended to indicate a basic principle of toxicology. It is credited to Paracelsus, a Swiss physician who expressed the classic toxicology maxim, which is, all things are poison and nothing is without poison. The dosage alone makes it so a thing is a poison or not. In toxicology, the lethal dose LD or median lethal dose LD50 is an indication of the lethal toxicity of a given substance. LD50 of a toxin, radiation or pathogen is the dose required to kill half the members of a tested population after a specified test duration. Let's take a look at the LD50 values of some common regular substances, or in simple terms, let's understand how much minimum quantity of the mentioned substance is required which can probably kill a person. Number 1, water. 6 liters is the LD50. That means if you try to drink 6 liters of water in one attempt, that can probably kill you. Number 2, caffeine. 118 coffees where one coffee has 240 ml. Third, alcohol. 13 shots where one shot is 45 ml.
The reason for sharing this video is to make you understand and prove the statement that it is the dose that makes the poison. You can see here that even water can kill you if the dosage is high than its LD50 value. This is true with anything in this world. Excess consumption of any substance is not good for health, and in that way, so is with MSG. But under normal circumstances, when it comes to restaurant food, MSG is most certainly harmless if consumed. After all these explanations, please note that we are not trying to state that you should definitely have MSG. To have it or not is your personal choice. We are simply, as always, putting the scientific facts in front of you, and we will let your frontal cortex of the brain decide what is good for you and what is not.